All
And we're
right.
live.
Hey guys,
Fantastic.
if you just tuned in, you saw that Siraya did her presentation on her autism organizer as an autism support. So we'll just start with Siraya. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started, your Instagram page and sort of like advocating for all this?
Sure. So, as they said, I'm Siraya Glademans. I run the page Stay-at-Home Zookeeper. The page originally started as sharing my son's journey with my father, who lives 900 miles away. So it was more of this is just me sharing my life. Instead of telling everyone what's going on through this diagnosis journey, it's just easier for all of you guys to just read this and take in the information when you're ready. And it started to grow as I made a network with people who also had children who were diagnosed. And then it became a support system for me to ask questions and learn and grow. And then it just has continually grown since then as I get more into the social media world. I'm making a lot more connections and growing there. I do have a background in early childhood elementary education. I taught for 5 years, I think, before staying home. I decided to stay home when I had my second child, but my son was diagnosed on the first day of school, my first year not going back. So it was like divine intervention that I decided to stay home. And then I was home to go through all the diagnosis appointments and the therapies and all of that stuff right away. So I honestly contribute also my background in education for knowing signs sooner. So he was diagnosed, he was 2 years, 3 months when he got his official diagnosis, which was relatively early. And his symptoms were I guess symptoms is the right word. His signs were pretty minor at that time, but already enough that the radars were going off. So that is kind of how all of that came together as well.
So that was an interesting question we got yesterday. What people were that asked in that chat. But what were some of the first things you noticed with your son?
So the trickiest part was also, like I said, his sister was born. So he was 21 months old when his sister was born, and we noticed some regressions, specifically in language. But thought he just got a new sister. He's going through a lot. His life was just rocked. But that kind of went on for a couple months. And then we were like, okay, 3 months of the same behaviors, if not more regression. And the sister's not going away. The routine's back to normal. We think maybe something's going on. He was very verbal as a 2-year-old. But his language was very label. He could tell you the name of just about anything. But when it came to expressive language, like watch this or me do, or any of those little phrases you expect a 2-year-old to start fighting with you about, that wasn't there. So we noticed that where he could still tell you the name of everything, but he never said my turn or mine, or he never had that like expressive conversation with him. And then slowly he stopped he labeled less. And then it was only if you questioned him. And then we noticed a lot of need for sensory input. So he basically stopped sleeping. He was diagnosed with insomnia at 2. And then he would need to be spinning or swinging. And then we found if he was doing that gross motor activity, such as like swinging, we could get him to do like academics there. So we're pushing him on the swing 1, 2, and he finished in counting to 11. And then even that kind of fizzled out because then his need for that input got even higher. So then the swing couldn't give him that input. He needed even more. And then the need for input went up as the language decreased. And then it was like, okay, we're officially there now. He is completely nonverbal now. Every now and then you'll get an all done out of him. So we are, as I showed in the presentation, he has an AAC device. So now we use that for his communication versus verbal, because that's pretty much gone for now.
Okay. So what first caught your attention? Because you reached out to OneThrive. What first caught your attention when you saw the system in your feed, or is that how you saw it? You saw it like on Instagram, or?
Yeah, someone I follow, a local Wisconsin mom, had just gotten one. And I've always been type A. And then with the teaching background and then the need for all the appointments we had at the time, we were doing ABA therapy, we were doing speech therapy, occupational therapy, early childhood education. And then I had my daughter in dance, and there was just papers everywhere and schedules galore. And I had it in a little planner, but there was no way for me to like pass that off because I took that with me. So my husband would be like, who needs to be where when? And I'm like, if you could all just see, and I didn't have to hold it all in here. So when I saw her have this program, I'm like, that is what I need. I need everyone to read it. I need a place to put it all. And then they can use it as a resource as well. And that really, really drew me to it. It wasn't just, I had a big calendar on the wall, but then it was the files and the hooks and and it looks pretty. So that was really what drew me in.
That's very cool, because that really was our intention when we made it, is that really could organize your life, but also look nice on your wall. You know, a lot of people had a corkboard here, a whiteboard there, and it looked like just a patchwork of stuff. Yeah. And so our goal was to take somebody who's just like you and said, okay, how can we organize your life? And then, you know, we were so happy to meet you so we could find out, wow, this product really is helping people like you who have children who are on the spectrum and who are, you know, it was such an eye-opening experience for both Anna and I to see how many people who have One Thrive are using it and how they're using it to make their lives organized. So thank you for sharing your story and telling us how you're using it, because you've taught us a lot. And even, you know, the sensational spaces yesterday and you, it's like, we're hoping to work with you guys to even make our tools better so it can continue to help you guys and you can grow with it, because you guys really have the understanding and the experience of what is making your life better. And there's so many people like you that we know that if we listen to you and our audience, you know, our product is only going to get that much more functional and better for everybody.
For sure.
That wasn't a question, just, I guess,
are there features that you have added on that you didn't realize? You may have gone for this in your presentation, you may have gone over some of this, but that when you first saw it, you were like, I want this and that, but then later on you realize, oh, like this would be a really great add-on specifically to, you know, help my son who has autism.
Yeah. So when I originally wanted it, I loved, I loved having the month and the week. The week was a big one for me, because then each week it's like, who's having hot lunch, who's having cold lunch, all of that. And I didn't realize how much could go off my plate by resetting that every week. And it didn't help my son with autism as much as I had hoped, because he's not reading yet and he doesn't get that correlation yet. But the way it helped my other children who are able to do that correlation, so that I could do helping him. So that was a big thing for me, where my daughter knows if she's hot or cold lunch. My husband can see if he's grabbing a cold lunch or not, and he can help with one child, so I can help with the other. That was huge for us. And then when one day we always had, so his AAC device, we call it his talker. He is not 100% motivated to use it at home, because at home we 100% know what he wants. If he leads us to the corner cabinet, that's where the Oreos are. Like, you don't have to say Oreo, I know what you want. And he's a very laissez-faire child. He is not rigid with his routines. I know a lot of kids are, but he is not. So it's like, this is dinner, all right. So he had no motivation to use his talker. And his speech therapist kept saying, well, maybe the more he has his talker just there and you model it. So you give him an Oreo, but you push Oreo. So he's starting to make that correlation to this button to the Oreo. And we were like, well, where do we put it that he always is? And we're like, well, the kitchen makes sense, because most of the things he's requesting is food. But then it was pushed on the table and it was tipped over and it was getting food on it. And so then I hung it on the command center that day. And I was like, this is really convenient, because right behind me is our living room. So you have to walk past it to go everywhere. And so he can walk into the kitchen, touch it on there. He's at school right now, so it's not hanging right here where it normally is. But it's like on the wall, it's his height. He literally can just hit it and go. And that was like, okay, now this is convenient. And then it was, well, he always plugs his ears when he's eating. That's his like nervous tick. It's not necessarily that's too loud. It's what he does when he's nervous, but he's also nervous that's going to get loud because he has two younger siblings. So we found out that the plugging the ears doesn't really bother us because it's what he does. But in the mealtime, it was food in his ears and he doesn't like his ears being washed. So then it was a whole thing of now you plugged your ears. Let me get the ketchup out of your ears. He hates that. And it was this whole battle. So then we started hanging the headphones the headphones here on the center. So when we sit down to eat, he walks in, we talk what we're going to eat, put on your headphones, go to there. So it was a very like smooth movement. And then I'm like, well, let's hang a jewelry here. So if suddenly we notice the ears is off, we'll switch it out for, he likes to chew on just about everything. But if you're chewing on a pencil, let me take that pencil and here's your jewelry. So it's a lot of that because it's where we always are. It's a very quick grab. And that's when it was like, okay, this can really, really help him. And then the picture schedule went on it. And I did share my presentation like a first then. We don't use that because again, it's not his learning style. It's not what interests him. But I know that that is huge for a lot of kids and then being able to manipulate it. And that's what I like about it being magnetic is you don't have to put tape on everything. You don't have to, you pre-make it, you put the magnets on the back and they can slide it like into the done column or, they have this column is, you have to do all this before you get your tablet time. They can slide it to the done column. They can make it like a chore list or things like that. And it gives them that manipulation power, but they don't need a lot of, what's the word?
Right.
Like coordination.
Yeah,
yes.
Right. Just
because a lot of kids don't necessarily have that motor planning and things like that. So it gives them that ability to easily slide. They don't have to pull a push pin out, which you could do on the cork board, but it gives them that. The magnetic, I think, is really cool. And it's a strong enough magnet that things aren't always sliding down. This black wall behind, I'm backwards. The black wall behind me is a magnetic wall, but the magnets don't stick well. So all of a sudden they start drooping where the board is not like that. Like it's a good magnet. So
I'm wondering if, as we move forward and we work together, where we can develop, a board that can come off that has it where, it is actually specifically developed kind of like what you're saying, because I'm sure there's a lot of families who kind of have these same issues. And these are things that like, okay, oh, wow, this makes so much sense what you're saying. And like, okay, how do we develop a system maybe where it just has things like yes or no, or, things that's just so easy to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
These are things we should probably talk about, offline, because I think there's a lot of potential for us to build things into your needs, which I think are a lot of people's needs.
Yep.
We have this question here from the Facebook group. I know my son gets overwhelmed easily. Is it possible for it to be too overwhelming for them?
I think the question is like, can the board be overwhelming because you see all of this in your face at the same time? I think what's cool about them being so easy to get off is that if it is overwhelming, you can pull, let's say that if it's the first then board that's what you're working on, you can pull it down, put it on the table, let's slide it. You're only looking at this one board. And after you move your first then, we hang it back up so we know where it is. So this can be like home base, but if it's too visually overwhelming or they want to touch all the things, because you can easily relocate that board, do what you need to, and hang it back up. And I love that these hooks aren't like, you don't have to push, pull things, push things. It's literally picking it up, but it's still secure enough that it's not going to fall off if you walk by.
Yeah, I love that feature about it. And that's how we use it one board at a time as well. The number magnets that are for the calendar, my 5-year-old does that for us every month, which is just like a really nice exercise for her. I'm like, okay, this month starts on a Tuesday or whatever. And she'll start going 1, 2, and like she likes putting them so it gets them, the magnets like help get the little ones involved as well.
Absolutely. I would say one of my favorite things, and I'm anxiously awaiting for more, is the magnets. So I love the Halloween toolkit and then the Christmas toolkit. I'm like waiting for my spring and Easter one, waiting for a birthday one to show up because I really like the magnets. And I think it helps for like the kids, again, like the big events coming up, because 2 children and adults, people on the spectrum, that planning is a big part of it because they know life is different and they can develop these anxieties about things being different. So if you know Christmas is coming because you see that Christmas tree on Christmas, you can see it coming and you can plan for it 4th of July is coming, the fireworks. We don't do well with fireworks. So you can like plan on this night, we're going to go to bed early, or we're going to wear our headphones all day because fireworks are coming. So those magnets also are like that cool visual of this is coming. And it's a picture without like, some people aren't artists and they don't want to necessarily have to draw all these things on there. And if the kids aren't necessarily literate yet, they want to see, give me a symbol for when the scary thing's happening. Doctor's appointments would be nice. Dentist appointments, like having like a tooth and that magnet, so they can visually plan that, I think would be really cool. Just having all the magnets for all the things.
No, it's a good one. Of the things that we're working on too is like a birthday countdown. So we're going to have like a board that's going to have where you can write in it. You can write the number of days it is until your birthday with like fun stuff around it. There's so many potential ideas. It's what makes doing this so much fun. But those are great ideas. I mean, Dr. Wright, of course, like, and you don't even think about it because, my kids are older or whatever. It's like, we need to talk to more people to figure out like all these awesome ideas that are out there.
Haircut's another one that's a big deal.
So someone is asking about your Sunday reset, which is actually something a lot of people do. Like I do that too with my Thrive board. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I take the weekly calendar and I, again, take it down, completely wipe it down. And I color code my kids for my sanity. And it has now trickled down in their life. We've talked about my color coding. And I get in the file folders, I have a file folder for each kid. And I pull my file folders down and I get out. So my oldest is blue. And I get the blue folder and I write down any special events he has in blue on the calendar for that week. Make his lunch choices, hot or cold, for that whole week. Anything him, any appointments, anything he needs to know for that week, I write it down in his color. Switch colors, switch folders, do the same thing for the next kid. Then I go down to the third kid and then myself, like today, I write live on there. And then everybody in the house knows when the house needs to be quiet and when I have something, and I can plan my day. And then my husband works mostly from home, but sometimes he's not home. So I throw his work schedule on there. And then once I have all 5 of our colors on there, then I go back and do any of the fun stuff. So the St. Patrick's Day, for example, is the first one in my head. That goes on there, any of the fun frilly, that's for the whole family stuff. And then we make it decorative and then hang it back up, and you're basically good to go for the week.
Does Wonder sell as seasonal magnets? So they sell toolkits. So they have a Christmas toolkit, a Halloween toolkit.
The kids toolkit.
We actually have a set of seasonal magnets now separately.
Okay.
Where we have for the spring season, we have a 4th of July. It's a set of like 9 magnets. I can look for the product. I can actually put it in the link here. But we do have one that is just seasonal magnets. It's like there's an Easter magnet. Let me look at it.
I didn't even know that. But like to Siraya's point out, everyone like wants to draw big, like works of art on their board. Some people really enjoy it, and then other people are like, I want it to look nice and say like it's Easter, it's Christmas without like me having to be the artist. So that's where the toolkits come in. They have like a few decorations.
Do you see that link? I just posted a link in there. That product is it has a bunch of different, it has a summer one, like a pool, some 4th of July stuff. And that was kind of our first, we're calling it the summertime magnet collection. But that's kind of was our thought process, and a little similar to what you're saying. You can lead people up and it's easy to put it up there and it looks nice.
Let's see. I will add it to, I didn't show Facebook, but I'll add it later. Well, thank you so much, Siraya, for joining us today in answering these questions and putting that presentation together. It is a question we get a lot in general, like how best can I use this system? Like I like it. I think I could use it, but do you have any advice? And especially we were getting those questions after some of your videos from families specifically with kids who had disabilities who were like, hey, I'd like to know more about like how I can use this. So we really appreciate you taking the time to put that together for everyone. Will you let us know where we can find you?
Yeah, so I got my name early, so I am able to be Stay-at-Home Zookeeper on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and then the blog is stayatHomeZookeeper.blog. So very uniform, same name all across all of them. And I'm primarily do like stories and stuff like that where I'm interacting with socially on Instagram. But when as far as like the posts and things like that, they're pretty much all in all of those locations.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you for what you do, really, because you getting the word out there and letting people know and sort of being authentic and not being afraid to share with people is so inspiring, and it allows people to really see that there's there's other people out there who have this issue, and wanting to help people is, you know, I am a firm believer that it's about community and people coming together and learning from each other. So thank you for what you do.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.